my name is Sophia and today I'm here to talk about my favorite standalones ever. So, I am a big fan of series, but sometimes I do read a standalone and sometimes I really do love a standalone. So, I wanted to talk with you about some of them today. Some I love and I read recently, some I love and I don't remember at all. I just remember that I loved. So, yeah, let's get right into it. This is in no specific order. Actually, I do have a number one, but in general, this is no specific order. But we'll be starting with The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. So, this book is extremely hyped. Everybody knows about it. It's a movie with Amanda Stenberg, the Y18 girl, and this is about pretty much police brutality. And this girl's star and her friend was murdered in front of her, and all that stirs up with her and her community, and it's so good. Like this book, it's so good, and I don't remember it so well, but I do remember that it struck a chord with me. I don't live in America. I am not black, but I do live in another country, in Brazil, that has a lot of problems with police brutality. So, I mean, this book is so good. It tackles a lot of good subjects while having, a very interesting main character and a great family dynamic. So, yeah, overall, this book is just A fucking plus. Love it. Another book that I love, and this one I actually read this year in January, is Nowhere Girls by Amy Reid. So, this is another hard-hitting contemporary. And I like my contemporaries to be standalones, so that's some on this list. And Nowhere Girls is about these three girls that been together to create the Nowhere Girls Club, which is a club for the girls to stand together because there was a girl in their school that was raped. And it has a lot of toxic masculinity, and it's pretty much these girls banding together to fight the system. And I tabbed it. I cried. I love this book so much. I love the message. I love the girls teaming together. I love the teen girls have power thing in here. I love the discussion around sexual assault. I love the autistic rep. I love pretty much everything about this a lot. So yeah, I love it. if you haven't noticed, and I highly suggest you read it. Another one, which is a very recent read. I think I read it in either September or October. I'm pretty sure it was September. And it is Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein by Kiersten White. So, Elizabeth Frankenstein. This bitch. I love Kiersten White and her idea of taking, things from history or tales and telling them from the perspective of the women that were sidelined. And this is the perspective of Elizabeth Frankenstein, Victor Frankenstein's wife, and the girl who grew up with him. And it's so good, has such good, morally gray characters. And the writing is beautiful. The entire atmosphere and writing reflect the Frankenstein story and the story Kiersten White's trying to tell and how Elizabeth feels. And this book is just amazing. I took a lot of notes. I wrote in it. It was one of the first books that I ever wrote in. And yeah, it's so good. I talked a lot more on my, September wrap-up. But so just so you have an idea, this is my writing. This is all my writing because I love this book a lot. A lot. If you want more information on it, also this is a retelling of Frankenstein. If you want more information on it, I suggest you watch my September wrap-up. Another book that I love, but this one I read I think in 2017, December 2017, and it is Beauty Queens by Libba Bray. I love Libba Bray. I think she has amazing hot takes on society, we live in a society, but this book is so funny and it's so feminist, and I had a great time watching this. I wouldn't say this is one of the best books I've ever read, but it's such a fun story, and a story that at its heart has such a good message. And yeah, I love it. I remember like almost nothing from this, just that they're like a plane with like 50 beauty queens, and it crashed on a remote island, and the 50 beauty queens have to band together and learn how to survive. And it's so good. And yeah, that's all I remember about it, pretty much. Another book that I love is The Sun is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. I actually read Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. I think it came out before this one, and I hated it, like so bad. But I love this book. It's so good. It's so weird how I can hate one book by her and love the other. And this is pretty much about Natasha. I remember her name. And I read this in 2017 also. This is about Natasha, who is a like American Jamaican girl who's gonna be deported in like the next day from when this book starts. And Daniel, this Korean American dude who struggling with like his family, and he's always been the good son, living up to his parents' expectations, and he's struggling with that. And he and Natasha meet on Natasha's last day in America, and he kind of tells her that he's gonna make her fall in love with him in one day. So yeah, it's so good. I just filmed my Tropes I Hate video, and I did not mention insta-love, but I do hate insta-love. But I think this book does it right. This book does it right, because it's like such a day of such high emotions for both of them, and like the way they hold on to each other as a good part of while their life is falling apart. And it's so good. It deals with, I wouldn't say the butterfly effect, but like the butterfly effect to some extent, as in everything is connected, and like there are threads from other people woven into their story, and you see how every decision affects the other decision, and it's so good. I love this book, like a lot. I still remember a lot from it, actually, since I read it in 2017, and I haven't stopped loving it. I watched the movie, not good, but overall, this is great. Another book I read, this one I read last month, and it is Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I also talked about this on my October wrap-up, so maybe you should check that out. But like, this book is so good, so fucking good. It's like, I tabbed it. Look at the amount of tabs. I don't think it started as strong, but it got strong, got so good. This is pretty much about this haunted island and three girls who are kind of the chosen ones to defeat the boogeyman on the island, and it's about them, their friendship, they overcoming who they were set up to be, and just, it's so good. I wish it was more feminist, but still it's feminist enough, and the writing is beautiful. It has some instances where like the island they're in, it's called Sawkill Rock. It has like some paragraphs where it's the rock's perspective, which I love, like sentient settings. I love it, and I love this book so much. It got me so much in my feelings. It's so much about like girls banding together and fucking up the patriarchy, and I love it. Another book that I read this year is Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. Everybody's heard about this. New hot book of the year. New hot romance book of the year. And I mean, it's worth the hype, okay? It's worth the hype. It's so fucking good. And if you don't know, this is about Alex, the first son of the President of the United States of America, which is a Democrat woman, and Henry, who is the Prince of Wales, and they're enemies to friends to lovers, falling in love, them like struggling with themselves, and it's so cute, it's so beautiful, I love it. Oh my god, this book is like the cutest book I've ever read, no doubt. So good, so amazing. I mean, like, there's a reason this book's like one of the best books of the year. Just saying. I think this might be my second favorite standalone of all time, but don't quote me on that. That might change like tomorrow or in like 30 minutes. But this is Into the Drowning Deep, my Mira grant. I think I read this in May this year. I don't have a wrap-up for then, but this book, dude, this fucking book, it's so good. It's like, I know a lot of people are gonna hate it for how science heavy it is and for how the ending went, but I love it so much. Like, I loved all the biology parts of it, and I hate biology. I loved all the oceanography parts of it, all the science, all the characters, the way their stories written together, the way Mira Grant, which is a pen name for Sean McGuire, how she kind of wrote, there's a page from the perspective of like the mermaids, and it's so fucking good. I love it so much. And yeah, I think this book, like, it's definitely not for everybody, but it is for me. And I'm already planning on rereading it next year, probably in like February. So yeah, and it's queer, by the way, and it's so fucking good. So my number one favorite standalone of all time is none other than Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Wow, who thought? What is this book? Like, this is a booktube, darling. Everybody's heard about it, but like, dude, this is my favorite standalone of all time. It's so good. And like, if you don't know, for some miraculous reason, this is about Evelyn Hugo, which is like a Hollywood starlet. Think Meryl Streep and Marilyn Monroe. And she's like 80 now, and she's lived all her life. She's married 7 times to 7 different men. She's had a bunch of scandals follow her, and it's so good. And she hires this journalist to kind of write a biography of her, and she goes through the story of her entire life, telling about her 7 husbands and her one true love that the world doesn't know who it is. And like, dude, this book, okay, you hear that synopsis and you're like, okay, so doesn't sound mind-blowing, doesn't sound earth-shattering, doesn't sound any of that, but it's because you don't know Miss Evelyn Hugo, which is my fucking favorite character of all time. Like, it's either she or Kaladin from Stormlight Archive. And like, dude, this bitch, she's like so morally gray, but she's also stands up for herself in what she wants and what she believes in, and I admire the fuck out of her. And this book, like, it just hits so many like emotional points in me, and I'm so attached to this story. If for some unknown reason you still haven't picked it up, please do if you're into this type of thing. I'm usually not into historical fiction, but I love it. And I think like it's feminist, it's self-aware, it's like so insanely amazing. And yeah, my favorite standalone of all time. So yeah, those were my favorite standalones of all time. I hope you love one of these or even hate one of these. At least you have a strong emotion towards any of them. Like, talk to me about them in the comments. Let's see. And yeah, my name is Sophia, and I'll see you next time. Bye!